Suppose an option pricing model returns $7.42. The formula is correct. The code passes its tests. So, are we finished? Not even close. Can anyone trade at that price? Which volatility did we use? Did we include dividends? What happens if the market data becomes stale? And could we reproduce the result 3 months from now? The distance between a formula returning 742 and a system trusted with real money is where financial engineering begins. The previous videos mapped quantitative finance and its learning path. Now we move one step further, from a financial idea to a controlled production system. We will follow one option pricing system through 7 transformations: define, source, compute, stress, decide, run, prove. First, define the product. An option is not simply a contract connected to a stock. We need its underlying asset, strike, expiration, exercise style, settlement method, currency, calendar, and treatment of corporate actions. A European and an American option may look similar on screen, but require different logic. If the contract is wrong, a perfect model can price the wrong product perfectly. Second, source the market state. A formula does not consume the market, it consumes selected inputs. For our option, that may include the underlying price, an interest rate curve, dividends, and a volatility surface. But is the price a trade, a quote, or a midpoint? When was it observed? Which provider supplied it? How old can it become? What happens when sources disagree? When someone asks why the option was priced at 742, because the model returned it is not an answer. We need the exact market snapshot behind the result. Third, compute. Now we choose a model and turn it into a numerical algorithm. A closed-form model may be fast. A tree may handle early exercise. Monte Carlo may suit a path-dependent payoff. The correct choice depends on the product and the operational need, not on which formula looks most advanced. Then come time steps, simulation paths, convergence limits, random seeds, precision, and acceptable error. 2 implementations of the same model can disagree because their numerical settings differ. This is not merely formula to code, it is theory to controlled computation. Fourth, stress. A price is one answer under one market state. A desk also needs to know what happens if the stock rises, volatility jumps, time passes, or rates move. The Greeks summarized some sensitivities. Scenario engines and Monte Carlo simulations reprice positions across many conditions. The system may then aggregate risk across thousands of contracts and currencies. A price tells us where the model believes we are. Risk tells us how quickly that answer can change. Decide. Suppose the portfolio should sell 12,483 shares to reduce its delta exposure. That theoretical hedge now meets the real market. Can we trade that quantity? How much liquidity exists? What is the spread? Will the order move the price? Are there position or capital limits? The mathematically perfect hedge may be too expensive or impossible, so we optimize under constraints, reduce risk, control cost, respect limits, and use tradable instruments. Fair value is not the same as an executable price. Sixth, run. Now the calculation becomes a workflow. Market data arrives, curves and volatility surfaces update, instruments are repriced, risk is aggregated, a hedge is proposed, controls evaluate it, orders are sent, fills return, risk changes again. That workflow may involve data services, pricing engines, scenario workers, order systems, databases, and monitoring. Production introduces questions the formula never answers. What if a feed disconnects? Should the last value be used? Should trading stop? What if events arrive out of order? How do services use the same market snapshot? And how do we reproduce yesterday's calculation? That requires versioned inputs, models, calibration parameters, configurations, and software releases. A notebook demonstrates a calculation. A production system manages its life cycle. Seventh, prove. Before the system touches real money, its assumptions and implementation must be challenged. Does the code match the documented model? Does it agree with an independent benchmark? What happens under extreme inputs? Where can calibration fail? Then production controls take over. Stale data checks, price tolerances, exposure limits, fallback models, alerts, approvals, and kill switches. But an alert without an owner and a required action is only decoration. The system must record which inputs, model version, limits, approvals, and overrides produced each decision. Financial engineering produces an answer that can be explained, reproduced, challenged, monitored, and governed. So our original 742 travels through 7 transformations. Define the contract, source the market state, compute with a controlled method, stress the result, decide under constraints, run a reliable workflow, prove what happened. The same chain applies beyond options. A portfolio optimizer does not end with weights. A risk model does not end with value at risk. A credit model does not end with a default probability. Each result must enter a system containing data, decisions, constraints, controls, and evidence. That is financial engineering, turning financial theory into systems that work under real-world constraints. And once a system contains research, pricing, data, risk, infrastructure, and controls, a new question appears. Who owns each part? Where does the quant researcher stop? Where does the quant developer begin? And how is a financial engineer different from a FinTech engineer? That is the map we need next.